Check, check. Come on, boys, turn me up.
He just, his 1 year anniversary was
Check.
2 days ago.
Check.
His appointment.
Check. 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 Can I get some juice?
Okay, down at the post office.
Okay.
DC, big post office in DC, Congress.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
And that the lady who designed the clock, she worked she's with the Chesapeake Gardens. She designed all 4 clocks.
Okay.
Made them.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi, Cal.
When you ask the South people to give you some juice, they mean it. I'd like to welcome everyone here to the Calvert County Republican Forum for our county commissioner candidates. 12 candidates. I welcome each and every one of you. Thank you for participating. My name is Cal Stewart. I am chairman of the Republican Central Committee. This is a Republican event, and I would like you all to assist me by standing as we recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. To get our program started, I'd like to welcome James McQueen Sr., who is our Master of Ceremonies and our quiz master for the evening. Special thanks to James for organizing and setting up this event. We couldn't have done it without him. We appreciate, James, your devotion to the forum. James McQueen Sr., the meeting is yours.
Thank you, Cal. So, real quick, a couple of public announcements before I go over the rules. We do have these flyers. There are 2 more forums going to be coming up, so grab a flyer before you go out. Well, it's also, it'll be on the Facebook and the web page. So we have, tonight is here, then we have a week off, and then we go to the 28th. We'll be at Northeast Community Center with the commissioners, and the 29th back here with the sheriffs. Second part is this year we have early voting that's coming up, and we have booths that we set up at each early voting location. It's going to be running for 7 days, 13 hours a day, nonstop, and we're looking for anybody that wants to help us. We have this flyer up front, talks about that, and it also talks about precincts coming up. I want to talk about there is no private recording of the forum as it's being live streamed through video, and it's also saved and be able to see it on the channel at any time. It's the Calvert County YouTube channel, so all the forums are put there. I'm also an introduction, talk and thank the Huntington Volunteer Fire Department for use of the hall, for the candidates coming, for the public group, the media streaming team that's always been here working and splitting their time up between 2 events every night. And also, starting off, I've got the candidates set up. I changed the order of seats a little bit to help for their benefit. So on the end, we're starting with at-large Todd Ireland, at-large Myra Gowans, at-large Buddy Hance, at-large Paul Harrison, District 1 Steve Jones, District 1 Patrick Flannery, District 1 Mike Hart, District 2 Mark Cox, District 2 Chris Gadway, District 3, I did it wrong last time. District 3, Kelly McConkley, District 3, Evan Terzansky, and District 3, Catherine Grasso. So our process is that we have questions, and if you have a card, you want to ask a question, just raise it in the air or bring it up to us, and we'll add it to the question list we have. Donna will help collect them. So we're handing out cards. If you have a question to ask, we only have time for about 6 to 8 questions, because when there's 12 of them and each one of them gets 1 minute, per question. We'll start off with a 2-minute start introduction speech by each one. We'll be then taking turns from that point on, and then we'll have closing statements at 8 o'clock so that we have enough time for everybody to get in by 8:30. And that's the process. We have a timer, and Jennifer has agreed to keep the time, and you'll hear the bell go off. And at that point, I'm going to be the moderator, and I'll be sitting down here. So let's get it started with Mr. Todd Ireland.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Todd Ireland. I'm a lifelong resident of Calvert County. I live on Wilson Road, off of Plum Point Road on that end of Wilson Road on my family farm. I've lived there nearly my entire life. The farm was a tobacco farm until the buyout came along, and we took the buyout, and now it's in a CREP program for conservation purposes. I spent the last 28 plus years serving the citizens of Calvert County as a deputy sheriff and as a correctional officer. I had a very rewarding career. I was able to attend numerous leadership schools, which led me to receiving numerous citations, proclamations, and other awards. I retired from the sheriff's office December 18th. One of the most rewarding things I did during my career as a deputy sheriff was help people solve their problems. No matter how small or large the problem may have seemed, it was those people's problems, and I was able to help them at a time that it was difficult in their life. Most people don't call the police because they're having a great day. I filed to run for county commissioner March 18th, exactly 3 months from the day I retired. I look forward to continuing my service to the citizens of this county in another capacity. I enjoyed the first 28, nearly 29 years. I am about smart growth, planned growth. We need to evaluate infrastructure before we build further. I also know that there's been some problems in our schools recently, and we need to address those problems as much as we can and give parents a voice. I also care very much about public safety. We live in the safest county in the state of Maryland. There's a reason for that. We have great fire service here in the county as well. I care a lot about our environment because I also grew up working on the water, crabbing, fishing. Time up? Okay. All right, I look forward to answering some questions here very shortly. Thank you. I'm sorry, I didn't know time was up.
I'm Myra Gowans, and I'm the founder of Calvert Citizens United, and we're at a crossroads in our county right now. The county is planning to do a major, massive, unrestricted build-out of our county. We have one main road, and it's Route 4, 2 and 4, and then Route 4 from Dunkirk to Solomons. We have a lawsuit. Calvert Citizens United has a lawsuit in the courts in Maryland, the Supreme Court of Maryland, to be able to watch over our county so that public officials are not able to vote their own properties into town centers. We have, our lawsuit is we went to the Court of Special Appeals, and now we're in the Court of Appeals, and the Court of Appeals only takes 10% of the cases that they are asked to take under a writ of certiorari. I think there are 3 things I would like to at least talk about right now in this 2 minutes. One is the quality of life in our county and the tax burden that will come if we allow it to be built out by massive development that's unrestricted. We don't have the infrastructure for it, and we're going to be the ones paying for it. The developers only pay for the infrastructure that's inside their property lines, not on the main roads. Number 2, I want to talk to you about the school system, because our school system, I've met with a number of the teachers, I've met with parents who have children as teachers now, and I've met with the associations, and the teachers are absolutely petrified of the students. I couldn't understand this. They are scared to death that the teachers are petrified that the students will report them if in fact anything goes wrong in the classroom or they challenge the student. Thank you. I want you all to consider these things. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Buddy Hance. I currently serve as an at-large commissioner. I'm in my second year as being president of the board. I'm a fourth-generation farmer in Port Republic, where I reside with my wife, and we have 3 children and 5 grandchildren. So I ran 4 years ago on a platform to maintain the rural character of this county, to protect and improve the quality of life, protect our schools, and make sure that your taxes don't go up. So in my 4 years, you look at my voting record, I have stood behind everything I said 4 years ago. I voted against the comprehensive plan in 2019. I voted against all the town center expansions in 2019. I have voted against everything that increases density and population in this county. We are at a significant infrastructure issue with traffic because of all the growth we had in the 80s and 90s. And to remedy that is going to cost the county and the state a lot of money. And I just don't see the state coming in to resolve all their issues, and I struggle with how the county will pay to resolve all the issues that were created in the 80s and the 90s. So I'm here today asking for your vote on July the 19th, and I'm running for the same reason I ran the first time. There have been many, many, many generations of Hanses in Calvert County in the last 200 years. I want to make sure that my grandchildren and the reason that you all moved here want to stay here. I want to make sure that Calvert County doesn't lose its rural feel. The thing that brought you here is what has kept us here. So that's why I'm running. I think if you check my voting record, you'll see I stand behind everything I say, and I would appreciate your vote on July the 19th. And don't forget to vote for the Board of Education. The Board of Education needs a change. There are 8 or 9 people running for the Board of Education. Do your homework. Make sure that you vote for people that reflect your values, because we need change on the school board. So thank you, Lisa Grimes.
Hi there, I'm audio challenged because I'm tall. My name is Paul Harrison. You can find out more about my bio at paulforcalvert.info, paulforcalvert.info. My wife Tracy and I live in Huntingtown, right on MF Bowen Road. We moved here to raise our family. We have 3 native Calvert Countyans that live in my house, Paul, Tyler, and Molly. Tyler's here today. Hey, Tyler. What we have here is a jewel. Calvert County is a jewel. You may agree, you may disagree, okay? But Calvert County is a jewel, and we have to preserve that jewel. Every county around us has gone through their rural phase and development phase, and now we're faced with it. Do we want to give up the rural character of Calvert and build 1,000-unit apartment buildings? Or do we want to maintain the rural character of Calvert County, the beauty that we all enjoy every day? That's the question that needs to be answered, particularly by the next board, because we have another 1,000-unit apartment complex going into Lusby. Okay, it's just different. All right, do we want to go that way? Great, maybe the citizens vote for that, but I don't see it. Okay, I have worked in accounting and finance for 30 years. I know the financial challenges that are coming in FY24 and beyond. I see them in the budget. I see them with the reduction of the money that's coming from the Cove Point plan. Okay, we got to make up that money somewhere. And coming down the pipe is Kerwin. Okay, now I'm going to tell you something. Okay, no one's brought this up yet. When they put the casinos in Maryland, okay, they said, oh, this money is going for education. Man, we'll have more money for education than ever. Where they put that money? It's not going to education. They're now coming to us for this money. Okay? Somebody's got to push back on that. Somebody's got to remind them. That's me. July 19th, I appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Good evening. I'm Steve Jones. I'm running for Calvert County Commissioner, District 1. I started with the Calvert County Sheriff's Office in 1989. I've served 30 plus years, and I currently hold the rank of Major in charge of Homeland Security and Special Operations. The current boards I sit on, the Planning Commission, I also sit on the Calvert County License Commission. I was appointed by Governor Hogan. Past boards that I've been on, United Way, Calvert County Employee Recognition Committee, the Calvert County Retirement Board, and Neighborhood Watch just to name a few. My experience has been directed to serve the citizens of Calvert County. I have direct experience with procurement, county budget, and the budget process. I have experience with the planning and zoning regulations and process as well. I believe that we as a county need to carve a better pathway to keep our youth in our county. Calvert County just increased the cost of house fee, associated fees with their purchase. What I hope to do is put a cap on how many building permits that we issue instead of raising the cost. Land preservation is also in place, and our green space is important. It's an important part of our history and our future. Lines have been drawn in the sand with the Board of Education. I see we have one candidate, Lisa Grennis. I always give Lisa a shout out. Thanks for being here. She's one heck of a candidate, and I appreciate your attendance here tonight. I'd also like to take a look at funding for special needs students in the Board of Education, as well as clearing the lines of communication up between the BOCC and BOE. I'm not going to say everything's bad. I believe they are working on it, but I think we can do better. I support business in Calvert County. In fact, I'm a member of the Chamber of Commerce. I would like to see a stronger relationship between economic development and the Chamber. There are many businesses in Calvert that feel that the county is a roadblock. I'd like to see that perceived or real roadblock removed. This, in effect, would breed success, more jobs, and more success for everyone in Calvert County. While representing District 1, I would have town hall style meetings and allow those specific citizens to voice their concerns. I'm Steve Jones. I appreciate your vote on July 19th. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Patrick Flaherty. For those at home as well, first district candidate. I'm going to dispense with my background, and I think we should just get right down to it. Has everybody got one of these mailers from a candidate from the first district that accuses Mr. Jones here of sponsoring by builders and special interests and stuff, which I find kind of ironic since that candidate himself at the last election cycle promised the electorate that if he was elected for a second term, he would not seek a third term, which lets me go into I want to push for and get the support of all other commissioners and candidates for 8-year term limits for commissioners and other elected offices in the county. Because when staff becomes so familiar with entrenched commissioners over the years, nothing changes. It stays the same. Which goes to another thing. Time travel has been realized. Yep, the federal government invented it, passed it down to the states, and now the counties have it. So what we do every year is we spend every bit of revenue that we get from taxes, taxation, property taxes, income taxes, and spend all that, and then we go into the future. And then we dig into our children's and our grandchildren's pockets and bring it back home here and spend it, right? So they can foot the bill later on. And that needs to change. Right now, from Dominion, Cove Point, which is now Berkshire Hathaway, over hundreds of millions of dollars have been frittered away. Where is it going? Bloated government, increase in hiring, new buildings. $342 million budget just passed. $4.5 million for paving for the infrastructure of Calvert County. Where'd all that money go? Wasn't that supposed to be spread around to benefit the entire population, the citizenry of the county? It didn't happen. If you want to see effective change and someone who actually fight for you and be your voice for you, I'm your guy. Thank you.
Well, I want to thank everyone for putting this on tonight. It's nice to have it on TV. We used to say, you know, it was hard for people to come see us and hear from us because we couldn't get here, but now it's being televised. So once again, I want to thank everybody here. My name is Mike Hart. I've had the pleasure and privilege of being your commissioner for the last 8 years. I've learned a lot over the last 8 years that hopefully will help me going forward. I own a small business in my town of Lusby where I grew up, went to school, graduated from here. I have a wife of over 20 years and 2 kids. And over that time, we were able to achieve AAA bond rating. You may say, what is that? Well, that's the best credit rating the county can have. It's saved us millions of dollars over the last few years. We're able to work reorganizing the government to make it more faster, more streamlined. And as you see, when we had COVID, we were able to send 300 people home to work from home. We couldn't have done that years ago. We weren't prepared for it, but we've improved ourselves technology-wise. You know, how we work our business now, we've organized it. We've worked hard to try to preserve more land, and we're trying to do even more of that. Our goal is 40,000 acres. We're going to achieve that. I am adamant against apartment buildings and overbuildings. I believe in single-family homes. I believe in a single-family dream. I believe that's everybody's dream you want for your children and all. But I don't see where apartments are helping young kids. They don't build any equity. There's a place for some, but we just don't need thousands of them. We put the first, I was lucky with the 2 boards, we put the very first animal shelter in here. It's a beautiful place. It's the best in the state. It's a very humane place. It has helped so many people, thousands of animals. We've strengthened the security in our school system. There was no doors on so many classrooms when I came in. There's doors now. And the ones that had doors didn't have locks, so it did no good. So the active shooter drill was to march them to maybe the one classroom that had a door. We addressed that, we attacked it, and we did that by working with the Board of Education. Oh, sorry, thank you. I'm Mike Hart. Appreciate your support.
For those of you who do not know me, I am Mark Cox, candidate for District 2 Commissioner. Husband, father, grandfather, over 40 years in business. If elected, I look forward to serving all the citizens of Calvert County. I want to raise a bar on public safety. Safe community is a good community. I want to raise a bar on our school system, and I will reiterate what my other people up here said. Check out your candidates for school board. It's very important. We need a good school system. I will work to maintain Calvert's rural roots. I believe we've lost some of that go-to. We need to get back to our rural roots. I look forward to serving all citizens of Calvert County. I would appreciate your support and your vote July 19th. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Chris Gadway. I'm a Christian, husband, father, grandfather, a U.S. Coast Guard veteran, a local business owner and employer. During the peak of the COVID closures, I looked up the word liberty, and I want to share with you what it is. It's a noun. Its definition is the state of being free within society from oppressive restrictions imposed by authority on one's way of life, behavior, or political views. We all need to remember that. I remember that each day when I go to work. When I was unanimously nominated and appointed by Governor Hogan to fill the remainder of Commissioner Hutchins' term, I kept that thought close. Since then, I have fought against the vaccine mandates. I have fought against mask mandates. I will fight against business closures, and I will fight against church closures. Last year, our churches were closed while our state lottery stayed open and never missed a draw. And to reiterate what started down there, President Commissioner Hance, please, please, please look at our school board candidates. They are very important. I have been discussing and trying to get to school board. I ask them quite often, please raise your 10-person limit. They refuse to. I've already taken part in rolling back zoning against high-density development and downsizing town centers in the comprehensive plan. That's already in the works. I voted for the FY23 budget and for the pay raises and back steps for law enforcement and county employees to bring their compensation up to that of the other counties. Again, my name is Chris Gadway, live in Huntingtown. I ask for your vote. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Kelly McConkey. I'm your current County Commissioner in District 3. I moved here 23 years ago. I've been married for 31 years. I have 4 wonderful sons, all that attended the Calvert County public school system from kindergarten up. My last one just graduated this year. A lot of people have talked about the school board. Nobody knows how important the school board is more than myself. I served on the school board for 6 years. While I was on the school board, I'm proud of a lot of things I was able to accomplish. I had a good working relationship with the county commissioners. I worked with them to work a funding formula out. The teachers were 5 steps behind when I got there. Working with the county commissioners, all of them are now caught up on their 5 steps. When I got to the commissioners, the employees were 3 steps behind and 17% behind in pay parity, and they're now all going to be caught up this year. On the school board, I was an intricate part of being the school security. I worked with the current county commissioners, got them to agree to give us $2 million if we matched it. We put, like Commissioner Hart said previously, we put doors and locks on the classrooms that never had them. We redid the vestibules when you came into the schools, so you couldn't just come in and walk right into a kindergarten class like you could at Sunderland Elementary. We installed film on all the front of the schools so that people could not shoot a gun through them or smash them in, slowing the perpetrators so law enforcement would have more time to get there. I was a big part of getting more resource officers into school. I tried to get them all armed, and I've always voted to add additional resource officers in our schools because everybody either has a kid or a grandkid in our schools, and when we had a shooting in St. Mary's County, that was too close to home for me. So I want to continue the work that I've done as your county commissioner. Thank you.
Hi everybody. My name is Evan Trzanski, MBA. I grew up in a military home, served in the U.S. Army, and currently I'm a federal consultant, small business owner, and father with over a decade of experience in contract management, cybersecurity, supply chain management, and project management. This experience includes overseeing multi-million-dollar equipment and services across 3 continents. This government experience includes contractual consultant work for all U.S. executive offices of the President, all executive departments, and the majority of the independent agencies. I have 3-point plan, which is safety, salary, and service. Now, a lot of us here on this board, we've served in some capacity for safety of the community, whether it's as police officers, deputies, or in some form of EMS, whether it's firefighter or EMT. Before coming here, I only have a few things in my wardrobe other than suits, and I saw one there, and I was like, you know what? I don't think it would hurt to bring it, but I brought my old EMT uniform with me because I thought, you know what? I think it's pretty appropriate considering where we are here at Huntingtown Fire Department, and I want to thank them for hosting us. And to all my fellow EMS and basically everybody who's ever volunteered or put themselves in a hard situation like that, including the military, I want to thank everybody for being here, for your service, and just for hosting us in general. If elected, like I said, I'm going to focus on safety, salary, and service. First thing I'm going to do for safety is I'm going to put in initiatives to make sure that we have service lanes throughout the community, especially around our schools, because we need something to help folks essentially, essentially to increase the safety throughout the community. Children deserve to be able to walk to school and from school. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Catherine Grasso. I have lived here for almost 47 years. We raised our 3 children in this county, and a few of them have stayed. We have 6 grandchildren. I consider Calvert County the jewel of Maryland, and as years have gone by, we have watched it tarnish. We've watched it tarnish with high-density housing, too much traffic. We've also watched our Patuxent River and our Chesapeake Bay become polluted. We've also watched our schools teach CRT under the guise of equity. This has really disappointed me, and I hate to see us continue to grow and grow and grow without the infrastructure to support it. We need to take a pause. We need to reevaluate. We need to look at our budget. We need to have input, real input from you, the citizens of Calvert County. And then when we proceed, if we proceed strategically. I am a fiscal conservative, and I will evaluate long-term effects of the decisions I make for my constituents. I was raised in a blue-collar family and know the effect political decisions can have on us everyday people. I only have one special interest, and that is you, the citizens of Calvert County. Thank you.
Thank everybody for opening responses, and if anybody's got questions, I've got a few, but if you got a question, raise your hand and Donna will bring them over. And well, I'm gonna start off with the hardest one. So, we've heard from everybody here, but I wanna go through this. This is, drugs and violence are a big issue in the current Calvert County public school system. Yet, BOE keeps sheriffs and SROs at bay, not allowing to properly do their duty. As commissioner, how do you plan to stop the BOE from removing the legal rights to protect the children in the schools, which is the county's taxpayers pay for? Who will empower the sheriffs, SROs to do their jobs correctly? Don't blame the state of Maryland. You have rights. Use them. We'll start out with Catherine.
I believe wholeheartedly in the SROs within the school system. Also, I think the DARE program should come back to the high school program, and I'm sorry, the high schools. We all have to invest in our children, and we have to keep them safe, and we have to do whatever we have to do to keep them safe. And we need to get behind our sheriff's department and encourage them to, I think what my one problem is I think that they don't want the SROs in the school system. And as individuals, we need to fight to have our children protected. Just like in Texas, that back door was left unlocked. We can't have that anymore. We need to stand up. We need to get common sense into our schools and protect our children and support our police officers.
I completely agree. Common sense is absolutely needed. We need to keep the safety throughout the community. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again, the best way to do this is to make sure folks are funded properly, and that includes the police officers. It doesn't mean waiting until an election cycle to do it. It means doing it proactively. It means when you see a low budget that hadn't been touched in almost 20 years, that it's time to do something about it isn't just now, it should have been a long time ago when you were initially elected. And that's not to any in particular, that is just in general. I believe that that is the best way to go forward, is from the top down. Thank you so much for your time.
When I first got to the school board, there was an issue where the the previous school board was not allowing the police officers to come in and sweep the schools with the dogs. When I got on the school board, we were able to get them to sweep the schools and the parking lots, but do it in a way where it didn't disrupt the classroom. They would sweep the lockers while they were in the classrooms, and they would sweep the hallways, and they would even sweep the parking lots and the teacher lots. Never in my 6 years did they ever find anything, because a lot of the drugs that are being done are pills, and the dogs can't sniff out the pills. And a lot of the drugs are being done before they get on a school bus and after they get on a school bus. The one thing that was very important that we did was there was no communications in the school. If you went in there, if the cops went in for an issue, there was a guy that brought a gun to Calvert High School. They could not communicate amongst themselves. There was no cell service in there. As county commissioner, we just built a new whole public safety communication system now that they can all communicate when they go into the schools. Thank you.
I've already voted against the existing school board's budget adjustments on principle on a couple of items, so I would do it again. Videos of fights are currently being taken by kids with their smartphones and currently being broadcast, sometimes live, on different media. I don't even know what some of them are, whether it's Instagram or one of these others. I don't know what they are. I can't keep track. But as soon as those sites are found and shut down, the kids immediately go to a new site so they can broadcast their fights and stuff again. That needs to stop. I don't have the perfect solution, whether or not it's no phones, whether or not it's blocking signals, I don't know. But I do look forward to the fact that we will be having a new school board coming up. We will have a new school superintendent in just a few days, actually. And I look forward to working with them to try and get beyond their archaic rule of limiting to 10 people. Thank you.
We definitely need more SOR officers in our schools. We need to have conversations, not only between the Board of Commissioners and the BOE, but our state board. We need to take all stakeholders and sit down and have good conversations of what needs to be done, what's not working, and where we need to go forward. We have a new sheriff coming in. We need to bring him in on board. All stakeholders need to sit down and have good conversations. Thank you.
Well, we know this is a real problem. We've heard it from teachers, we've heard it from parents. My child goes to middle school, and I said to Zach, Zach, you know, I'm hearing all this, but let me hear it firsthand. He says, oh, Dad, it's real. He says, and it's a gang mentality. He says, it's not, you know, like when I was a kid, it was a one-on-one thing. And, you know, when I was a kid, there was a problem with somebody, it'd be a one-on-one thing, and then it was over. You became friends, but there was a respect level. Now it's this get even type mentality. That has to stop. And it's a relationship with the BOCC, the Board of Education, law enforcement. And if we can't get policies that stop transferring kids going, okay, well, they won't act right here, we're going to send them there. Just because you change the location doesn't mean you change the behavior. So that has to stop. It has to go back to, if they will not act properly in school, then they're going to have to be removed from the system. There's going to have to be an alternative education system set up, whether it's using Calvert Country, whether it's, but these kids cannot be fearful to go to school. That is a heck of a way to go through life being afraid at school. Thank you.
It's obvious the elected school board does not represent the best interests of the people it's purported to represent. So as with any, when you're trying to change the behavior of a child, you take something away from them so that they will change the behavior in the favor that you want. So as with the Board of Education, we have to stop funding well above the maintenance of effort levels. Just fund at the maintenance of effort levels, and they're not going to change anything unless they see that their funding is being reduced. If they need further funding, well, then they'll come to the board, and we can decide, well, unless you change this, add discipline, bring it back, get rid of the bad apples, the bullies, the fighters, and known drug dealers, get them out, then you're not going to get the funding that you require.
So I'm going to tell you a story. Recently, I received notification that there was a child in the school that was threatening to shoot the school up. That happened 3 separate times. And you know what the punishment for that was? The kid was allowed to go back to school. There should be consequences for a youngster's actions, even though they're youth. They're threatening to do something, and we hear after the fact, well, we had indicators that it was happening. I went to St. Mary's County myself with a tactical team during the active shooter that happened over there. And I assure you, you do not want that to happen here. What I ask you to think about is this. This is very simple. When we go to Washington, D.C., and we go look at the dinosaurs in Washington, D.C., we guard our bones with the dinosaur bones with guns and metal detectors and everything else. And we guard the bones better than we do our children in school. We need to do better, folks. It's going to cost a lot of money. We need an SRO in every single school. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Listen, we need to guard our kids like we guard our money. Okay, we need an SRO at every school. Here's the problem though. There's no accountability. The kids that act up every day and throw desks and throw scissors at the teachers, you know what? They go to in-school suspension and they're back by the late afternoon. There's no accountability. You know, the teachers union should be championing this effort. I don't know why they aren't. That's crazy to me, right? So you've got so many issues happening in society. I think one of the greatest ones is the mental health of the kids is compromised from the lockdown. Nobody fought for them. Nobody fought against the lockdown. It happened. Maybe we'll fight the next time, as Chris has said. Maybe. Who knows? But there's no advocates for the kids either. You have to be your own advocate for your kids. And if you don't raise them, this will. And the people behind this phone, they're bad actors, man. They're out to make money or exploit them or whatever. This is what the kids are a slave to. They're going to do the next fight or whatever else so they can get more likes and watches and views and all the other stuff. That's just crazy. So figure it out. We've got to protect our kids like we protect our money, and we've got to work on their mental health. Thank you.
So I support safe schools. I believe we should have SROs in our school. If next Tuesday, as commissioners, we voted to put an SRO in every school board might not allow them. Everybody has to understand, I know they're very frustrated with what's been going on the last 2 years. The school system in Calvert County is operated by the Board of Education. We have no legal authority to make them do anything. We write a check every year. We write a check this coming year for $142 million to the school system. If we call them tomorrow and say we want to use the auditorium at Calvert High, they're going to charge us rent. That's how we operate in Calvert County. So, as has been said before, there's going to be a change in the Board of Education this year. Do your homework and vote for those people that support your values, because we need a change, and I hope that happens.
Dear Lord, let the adults run the place. The children, the kids, are running the schools. And I'll tell you what the whole problem is. They are texting and sexting while the teacher is trying to teach the classroom. The teachers have lost control in many instances. I've talked with the Calvert Association of Teachers and a couple of the organizations. The teachers are petrified of the kids writing a complaint about them because nothing is done to these kids that are aggravating the classroom and disrupting. The cell phones have got to be off and in their backpack or whatever, because they are taking pictures of the teachers and putting it on TikTok and Instagram, and then making snide, vulgar comments about their teachers. The teachers are afraid if they are non-tenured, they're out the door. And that's where we have to start. The parents need to take back over their kids' behavior, and that's what needs to happen.
I believe we need to, form a relationship with our Board of Education and our educator unions. We need to communicate with them. As far as SROs go, there needs to be SRO in every school. I don't know of an active shooter that's taken place that has gone to a school where they're going to be met with resistance. They don't want resistance. They want to go in and do the most damage they possibly can without resistance there. So that presence of that police car out in front of that school is a huge deterrent for that type of behavior. And I think this goes back to, and everybody hears it all the time, some people don't want to hear it, but I think parents need to be parents as well. The teachers can't be the parents, the educators can't be their parents. However, those SROs and those DARE officers are mentors to those kids, and that might be the closest thing to a parent that some of them have. So they are important for more so than just safety reasons. They need to be in the schools. Thank you.
Okay, the next question, we're going to start off with Myra, and we'll go in this direction. And the question was, the Cove Point NG plant has many tax credits coming in the next years. How will we offset and why? Or will we stop them as they are making more profits due to inflation?
Well, here's your problem. It was a bad deal going in. I've had 40 years as a business entrepreneur, and I've worked with international and national businesses, and it was a bad deal. And what you have now, I asked a question at the Planning Commission meeting, or the BOCC. We're going to be giving them credits, and it's totaling about $17 million is what the credits will be in the next 3 years, from 23, 24, and 25. How do you pay those credits? I asked Ms. Strand, the finance director, and she said, well, you'll have to come and talk to me, which I did. She gave me a whole budget guideline. Our budget is 556 pages of budget. But, well, they won't pay taxes to us. They're going to get a credit somehow. And what's happened, if you look at it, the pilot plan should have been a 10-year plan, not a 5-year plan. And I'm going to tell you this. They believe, the assessors in the state of Maryland believe that the plant down there, the Dominion plant, is antiquated. But that's not true. They took everything out and rebuilt that plant, and it should be assessed and appraised that way. So it's time. Okay, thank you very much.
So when the facility was built 10 years ago, they entered into a pilot, payment in lieu of taxes. They had a formula put in place, negotiated by the board at that current time, said what their payments were going to be out for the next 10 years. That pilot is now over. We've hired a professional firm to come in and negotiate before us because we do not have the expertise in-house to negotiate this kind of deal. I don't know anything about tax credits in the future. What I do know is we're negotiating a deal right now that's going to move us forward for whatever set period of time we negotiate in that contract. And it'll be based on the assets, taxable assets, and the value of the business that that company has today.
That's great news. I have the expertise to negotiate that agreement. We don't even have to pay for consultants. So listen, if you get a 42% discount on taxes, payment in lieu of taxes, that's a discount in lieu of taxes as far as I'm concerned. So listen, if any company had money to pay us, it was Dominion. And now Berkshire Hathaway. Warren Buffett, he got money up for days. He didn't lose money in the market. My 401k is down 35%. That's crazy, okay? $3.8 billion was the cost of that project. That's the value they added to that property, okay? Now, I don't know if they're gonna lobby for critical energy infrastructure exemption. That's something to be worried about too, okay? Because if they do that, they'll be exempted from local property tax. But in this case, if they have a $3.8 billion plus asset, plus the billion they already had, they should be paying property tax on a property worth $4.8 billion. And that's big money. And that's what we need. Thank you, Jim.
So the Dominion project, and I can't speak to the negotiation when it happened. Was it good? Was it bad? I don't know, but I do know this. It did keep our taxes probably lower. At one point, we had a tax increase. I believe that tax increase may have happened again if it was not for Dominion Cove Point in Berkshire. Moving forward, as Commissioner Hans said, the renegotiation is absolutely critical to moving forward with them. I don't think the right thing to do is to kick them out. I don't think the right thing to do is try to get rid of them. I do believe that they will keep our tax base low in Calvert County. Thank you.
Absent a new negotiation, we knew well and clear from the very beginning, the initial negotiation, what the future held. So here we have the 5 Ps again: prior, plan, prevents, poor performance. We knew over the course of the years that eventually the funding was going to run out, and it wasn't planned for. Things weren't restricted. Conserve is the root of conservative, yet no one conserves or thinks of the future things to come that will squash anything if you keep on spending the money. So the board and everyone needs to look at the budget and plan for 10, 20 years down the road and the eventualities that will come to bite us back.
So I came on the board during the construction part. Negotiation had been done. I'm not going to ever criticize a past board. You don't know unless you're sitting there what the times were. That's all in the past. But what we have had an opportunity to do is watch that negotiation, learn from it. Commissioner Hans is spot on. No one can tell you right now what that number is because it's during negotiations. But this time, there's a firm, that's what they do. And we've put it in their hands to tell us that. We don't have to accept that. But we believe at this point we've hired the proper firm to go about this. And when we get that number, it will all be transparent, it will all be clear. It will, we need to wait until we see what those findings are, and then we'll move on from there. But it will be very transparent when it happens.
do agree with Commissioner Hans down there with the consultant. What we need to do is wait until the numbers come in. Then we need to see if them numbers constitute the overseas deals. They're dealing overseas now. It's incredible what they're doing. Let's raise it 30%, then let's come back to the table, and then let's negotiate the deal. Let's negotiate deals. Let's just not accept what is put in front of us. Thank you.
It's a very important question, and it's been planned on for years. We as a county are going to be just fine. We've got experts working on it. They will present the findings to us, and we as the commissioners are already prepared to have those discussions. All the different entities in this county, including Dominion and Cove Point, will pay taxes, as everyone does, as every homeowner does, as every person that buys a gallon of gas does. Thank you.
I guess when the board that approved that, they probably weren't qualified to approve that deal. And we know that we're not qualified to negotiate that deal either. So that's why we hired the consultants. That's not the only thing that we're facing. We're facing the Kerwin Commission coming down on us. Many other police accountability board, it's going to cost us a fortune. So we're going to have things thrown at us. 4 years ago, I promised you I wouldn't raise your taxes. Not only did I not raise your taxes, I lowered your property taxes by two years in a row. I lowered them. My promise to you over the next 4 years, I'm not going to raise your taxes. That's my goal. We have a lot of challenges to face. We have to cut the budget where we can. We cut our departments by 3%. So I'll be looking forward to seeing what the consultant says, and we'll make sure that they negotiate a good deal for the citizens of Calvert County. Thank you.
Cove Point was built back in the 1970s. And while I was going door to door, that was actually one of the things that was brought to my attention, was the fact that certain individuals were getting, at least for their land, they were having a lower tax. They had to pay less on their tax, essentially, and that was phenomenal. It was great news for me to know that was something, at least that was an initiative. So that's something great to look forward to potentially as being an option. But not only that, but I think we should also, like actually Kelly McConkey said, is we need to have experts who are here who can negotiate for us. I don't believe any of us are here are experts in energy, so that's definitely something we need to have experts down here, not just negotiating the amount, but also possible renovations that might need to happen. Make sure that these are things that we can potentially have in the contract to ensure the safety of our community. Yeah, thank you so much.
I don't think we should waste time on what we should have done, could have done. We need to move forward. This contract is being negotiated. It needs to be negotiated strategically. We need to think in terms of long-term benefits to us as a county. And when they come back with what they have negotiated to us, I think the county commissioners need to look at it with a fine-tooth comb. I know we're not experts, but we're common sense people. We know how far this pilot program has taken us, and we need to look at it a bit differently. Like I said, strategically, play hardball and do what's best for the county.
So, I mean, we've all heard the rumors when that deal was brokered initially that it could have been done differently. I believe that the consultant, once they audit the business and find out exactly, what kind of number we're going to be able to start with to broker a deal with negotiations, I think we're going to be a lot better off. As Commissioner McConkey said, we do have quite a few other significant budget items coming down the road, Kerwin being one of them, and there we go again, that's another figure that we don't know what it's going to be at. So, like I said, we've got to wait for the consultant to come in on that and see where the number's at, and we can go from there. Thank you.
Okay, the next question, another budget question. We'll start down with Catherine. Would you support the purchase of a new Bearcat for the sheriff's office? Yes, if why, no, why?
No, I wouldn't. I think we put an awful lot of money into our sheriff's department, and I think we have to have equipment that works. And I think that we have to make sure they are safe because their safety, their equipment helps keep us safe. But from what I understand, there's a Bearcat that can be refurbished. I think we need to start looking at how we are spending our money. And I think we need to find alternatives because, like some of the panelists have said, we are facing some big taxes coming down the road. So I think we should think long and hard about what purchases are made and how we can make, maybe make concessions, maybe look at another point of view and see what we can do.
And this one was also brought to my attention, maybe 4 months ago. But what I would personally do regarding this is I would look at possible warranties that we could potentially get for the existing vehicle. Because if we can get something, essentially rebuild what we currently have, and we can also maybe get a warranty that's going to cover it going forward, then that would essentially nip that issue in the bud. We would essentially already have brand new, well, if something breaks down, if we have a warranty, obviously they're going to replace it and or renew it. So that wouldn't be something we'd have to worry too much about. So that's what I would look at possibilities. And if that's not a possibility, if there's no way to refit it and we do a cost analysis, and then yes, I would support getting a new one if that were the case. But I need to see these numbers, which I have not yet. So please bring it to me, anybody who has these numbers, so I can look at them. Thank you.
My first job is to make sure everybody in the community is safe. The first Bearcat that was purchased was not purchased with your taxpayers' money. It was a grant. The thing is outdated, old, and the motor is ready to blow up. And in order to replace a motor, the problem is the motor. The motor has had problems. Ford has had problems with them. That whole thing has to be completely taken apart to even put a motor in it. You're going to put a motor in it they don't even make anymore. So I support the Bearcat because I support the community. I support our men and women that work hard for us to keep us safe. It'll fit the whole SWAT team in it. It's been needed on many occasions. We've helped our surrounding counties with it. In fact, I had a barricade situation just last year right beside my business that they needed to use that tool on. So I do support it. I think the Sheriff's Department is going to find money within their budget anyway to take care of it. So it's not going to cost any more money, hopefully. But when we get these situations, what if we have a school shooting or attack at a school? We're going to need that for your kids.
The safety of all of our citizens and our deputies is paramount. I'm not going to defund the police in any way. I'm going to support them in whatever way they need in order to do the job appropriately. This specific discussion came up a few weeks ago. I asked those exact questions about it. I caught some grief for asking the questions about it. They came back very quickly after that and they said, you know what, those were good questions. Here's the cost benefit analysis. Here's what the costs are going to be associated with rebuilding the engine, the new tires, the this, the that, and the everything else. It was kind of relegated back to them at this point, and I believe that they are continuing that cost benefit analysis, looking for grants, this and that, and they're going to make whatever decision they need within the Sheriff's Department, hopefully with the help of the new sheriff, in order to get that done, and that's going to be their decision under their vehicle budget to the best of my knowledge.
I do not know all the details on this matter. I would ask, was it a need or a want? I do think we need to tighten our belts on some of these purchases, but when it comes to safety in our community, safety is going to be my priority. Thank you.
So it's funny at questions here tonight, I don't think in my 8 years I got more questions about a single piece of equipment than that. I was amazed at a hot button issue that was, because we bought pieces that were in millions of dollars, and not to discount any cost, but we vetted this, and unfortunately it can't be repaired. And there's absolutely no way would I ever take a 1% chance to put any of our people in harm's way. The risk, you just can't risk it, and unfortunately, politicians, it comes down to dollars and cents, but those are families, and there are families we all know the members of the sheriff's office and state police, and someone mentioned, you know, what if you show up at a crisis situation? Are you going to put that rest in that arm? So I am always going to support whatever it takes to make sure we're safe and to protect our lives, and we will always find the money for whatever that is.
I support law enforcement, and part of my background is being a mechanic, electromechanical technician, and so forth. I've even replaced truck engines in my own driveway when the crankshaft broke. But I cannot fathom how an engine cannot be replaced economically today. If I wanted to work for my truck that I drive today, I can get a brand new $2,500 engine, have it shipped to my house, put it all together, take the old one out, put the new one in, and call it a day, and drive away. So for whoever the organization is that's estimating the cost or what is needed for this, seems to be doing so in a bid to just replace the vehicle rather than actually fix the vehicle. It's not hard to do. Any mechanic will tell you it's easy to replace an engine and any associated components.
So when you get ballistic vest as a police officer, after 4 or 5 years, it's void, it's no good anymore. The same exact thing happened with this piece of equipment, the Bearcat. Some 15, 17 years ago, whatever it was, a politician, many of you may know, named George Owings, helped the Calvert County Sheriff's Office to get that Bearcat. It was purchased through state funding, through grant funding. That was purchased, if you remember when 9/11 happened and it was in that era, it was purchased for safety at the nuclear power plant and the LNG plant. It's equipped with radiological and gas detection units inside of it. Lastly, it was for extraction of children and an active shooter. The piece of equipment is made to go through the front of a school and extract children out of it. Now, I've been in, not that vehicle, but a ballistic vehicle when it's been shot at. And as a result of being in that ballistic piece of equipment, I didn't have to shoot back, if that makes sense. It's a defensive piece of equipment. It's made to protect police officers and the people that we're getting from a bad situation. Thank you.
The Bearcat is $357,000, by the way. So this question is funny because I've gotten a lot of grief on this question because I brought up at the Republican Men's Club. I would just ask some questions. You know, do we need this? All the same questions that were answered about the engine rebuild and all the other stuff. Listen, we were here for the Firemen's Association just on Tuesday, right? Tuesday, right? It was Tuesday, 13th, 14th. It was 14th, right? So we were here, and the Firemen's Association, they know how to put out fires. I don't know how to put out fires. I can negotiate the Berkshire Hathaway deal, though, for you. But I got to tell you, you got to go with the experts on stuff. And Steve Jones and I actually had a conversation about this. You know, one of the benefits of having a Bearcat or a similar vehicle is the defensive tactic, okay? And keeping people safe that are on the other side of the thing. That makes sense, right? $357,000. Listen, I think all life's important, okay? Police lives are important, kids' lives are important. But, there's always that backstop of money, right? So $357,000 for the Bearcat, SROs for the schools, maybe. See? Think about that.
So the Bearcat is a piece of equipment that the sheriff's office needs to protect its officers and citizens. I was in the fire service for over 30 years. We have equipment in firehouses that we hardly ever use. Sometimes we never use. But if an incident happens and we need it, we need it. So I didn't really question why they needed it. I did ask at the time, have you done a cost analysis benefit to rebuild over buying new based on how often you use it? At the end of the day, the sheriff's office came back, said they had the money within their own budget. They didn't need our money. The sheriff's office is sort of like the school board. We give them their money every year. The sheriff can spend it any way he wants, as long as he doesn't go over his budget. So today, it's out of our hands whether they replace that Bearcat or not.
I was in the commissioner meeting, just happened to be there the day that they discussed this. And the sheriff's office, the sheriff did say that they would try to see if they could, re-engineer the motor and everything. It didn't sound very, very promising at the time. But like Buddy just said, they have come back and told the county they don't need our money. And so they'll get their Bearcat and everything will be fine. But the big thing is that Homeland Security, the Office of Homeland Security, our federal government, has grant funds for smaller counties in the United States who need specialized equipment like this. So it would be wonderful if maybe the federal government would give a little something down here to Calvert County if we requested it. Thank you.
So the Bearcat is used most often, in my experience, during barricades. You can put a negotiator in there. You can put a full special operations team in there. When we first started out, our special operations team had nowhere near the number of people that it has now. The initial Bearcat they bought was small, but it was suitable at that time, and it was 15 years ago. With the increase in mental health issues that we're seeing, there's going to be more barricades. The purpose of that Bearcat is to be able to get in and get out. Well, if they're going in or they're coming out and they're in a bad situation and that Bearcat is not dependable, where are we? And it all goes back to safety at the end of the day. Thank you.
I have one more question around budget, and then we're going to move into some other questions. So, how can you afford gas for vehicles? Where is it in the budget, and how will you manage it? Because when you look at the sheriffs, and you look at all the vehicles that the government has on the road, and the cost that we're feeling, and we're watching on news that governments are running out of money, local governments. So our question starts there, and we're going to go to Evan to start with.
So the question is, how can we afford the gas, correct? Okay. All right, so I assume this is already, well, I don't know if the inflation is at least accounted for in the budget, but at least how I would tackle it is, I mean, if we had to do more work from home essentially to cover the budget, I mean, that's one way I would do it. The question was just overall, correct? Correct, just overall. Yeah, that's one of the ways I would tackle it. Is if folks can work from home, then possibly, or do a rotation, then that'll save on gas costs at least. That's one option. Because at least the company I work for, that's what we do. We do on and off days for, well, it depends on which project you're in. Depends on who you're working for, which government facility, which agency, and overall, just in general, just who you're working for at the time, at least as like myself as a consultant. But yeah, I believe work from home is possibly a solution for this.
So we ran into this on the school board with the buses, and we always allocated more money. So at the end of the year, we normally had a lot of money left over. So if we did have off years, we had extra money. I think that's something our board will probably be discussing with Public Works here very shortly on how we're going to do that. Maybe sending less vehicles to jobs. And one thing we did do is we allowed certain employees to take their vehicles home, so that if an employee lived down in Solomon's and that night they had a pipe burst in Solomon's, he would just go right to the job instead of having to come all the way up to Prince Frederick to get the vehicle and then go all the way back. So we started that a year ago. So I think that's going to help out with the fuel also. And like Mr. Trzanski said, we do have a very large portion of our staff working from home now. So it's something we're going to have to really keep a close eye on, because it is going to become an issue. Thank you.
As Commissioner McConkey mentioned, our Public Works and we started working together last year, not necessarily in anticipation of $6, $7 a gallon gas, and I hope we don't get to that point, but looking at it to try and run government in a more efficient and effective manner. One of those things, as he mentioned, was take-home vehicles, which allows those people to stay local to where they live. The other part that's even more critically important in there is that we also implemented gas purchasing at other locations throughout the county from local places. That means that if a person is county workers in Solomon's, he can get gas in Solomon's. He doesn't have to drive. We don't have to pay him time and mileage to drive to Prince Frederick to get gas out of the one gas tank that we have for county use. That was a huge savings, and thank goodness we did it, because we were prepared before this happened, and we'll be just fine on that. Thank you.
As a business owner, I experience this firsthand. I've talked to my employees, look at your routes. Try to make your best routes easy. As an owner, I've renegotiated our delivery price as the tack on that he adds to our delivery rate. We need to do the same with our employees of the county. We need to monitor them, see what their routes are. Monitor if they're making double trips here and there. Thank you.
So really, I'm going to echo what the last two commissioners said. We're 5 small business owners, so whether it's gas, health costs, you could ask about health costs, so many different things. Unfortunately, everything keeps going up. But we've been able to lower taxes 2 straight years, 3 times in my last 2 boards. And that's because we run it like a business. And it really sounds oversimplifying it, but it doesn't. When I first got there, I used to say, give me total cost. Don't give me what a rate is. Give me total cost. How do I know how to make a decision if I don't know what something truly costs? And we approach that as we have so many other things. Going back to, it's kind of redundant, people working from home, the gas card piece was huge. Commissioner Gadwin said that people driving from here to get gas and go back, it was so redundant, it was ridiculous. And those things we have been doing was helping us now. Gas gets to $7, $8 a gallon. That's going to be a whole another way of doing things, but we have services that cannot stop. Ambulances, Meals on Wheels, things of these natures, buses. Thank you.
Was the question referring to governmental vehicles or in general?
That's how the government
Pretty much
manage the
governmental
gas
vehicles. Well, I would say someone
prices.
in the finance department should look at options trading for diesel and gas, and set up, I'd say, a minimum of 3 distribution points within the county, north, mid, and south, that are county run, so those vehicles can just go and get gas. That way you fix your price for a set determinate amount of time, maybe 1 year, 2 years, or 3, depending on your option trades. So you buy futures, say it's trading at $4.50 a gallon for diesel, all right? So you fix that price at $10,000 per option, 10,000 gallons per option. But you get that, so you fix that for at least a year, or depending on your usage, while the gas, maybe 3 months after you've gotten your delivery, or diesel, is now it's $5 or $6. So your costs are fixed. So finance needs to look at options trading and taking on delivery from the purchase of those options, rather than being speculative in nature and trying to profit off of that.
I'll agree with Mr. Flaherty about this. I think there needs to be a distribution point north and south. We are purchasing at different locations using credit cards, and I think that's a good option. And I believe what the commissioner was talking about was so that you didn't have to, if you were in Solomon, you didn't need to drive to Prince Frederick to get fuel. But I do think we need our own distribution points because we have to pay more money to get fuel at other locations per gallon, and it adds up. Back when Bootsy Stinnett was sheriff, I can remember we were only allowed to drive so many miles per shift. They really kept track of how much we drove, and you better have a good reason for doing it. It was during the gas crunch many years ago. So maybe we need to look at that. Maybe we need to look at carpooling as well. Thank you.
I think that the technology exists to track all county vehicles and understand their routes, and how long they travel, how far they travel, the weight that the driver puts on the gas pedal. Sometimes I see cars, the county trucks going up and down the road, and it's not their gas, they're hitting the juice. They're getting up on the road. Okay, so we have the technology to monitor some of that. They're called tattletales. All right. I would hope that we're taking advantage of the municipal government exemption from state fuel tax, right? Anybody step up on that one? The county is a political subdivision of the state. So I think we would be exempt from state tax, which is going through the roof. It just went up 18 cents a gallon, right? Think about that. Thank you.
So as you've heard, we've taken some actions to try to reduce, but it's not just gasoline, it's utilities, it's all the goods that we buy. We're just like you and your households. Our bills and costs are going up, but departments are made to stay within their budget. They'll make cuts where they have to, but this county is not going to go broke anytime soon. Most people don't understand what a AAA bond rating means. AAA bond rating means that we are in financially good shape. We have plenty of reserves, that a little bit of gas increase is, well, a significant gas increase, is not going to put this county under. So we've taken actions and steps to make sure that we can accomplish what we need to do within our means.
Well, I'm a little confused because I don't think we can bank on gas being X amount of dollars. We are going to have to realize, as Buddy just said, that we do have some reserves and we do have a cushion here. What I would like to see is I'd like to see a forensic audit of our books, of our accounts, to make sure that that everything, I'm sure it's on the up and up, but to make sure that that 1/3 of $1 billion is not double dipping in there anywhere. And it's the consultant contracts and the contracts that we have with outside individuals that we need to look at right away, first and foremost. Thank you.
As I said, it's definitely a significant impact. I mean, you figure gas is double. I mean, you budget for 300,000 or $1 million, you're $2 million. So we definitely have to look at that, and it gets bigger than this because we're going to have snowplow contracts coming up. I mean, all those are going to be significantly increased. We know that. So the problem's bigger than just us trying to put gas in our county vehicles. I can tell you this from working at the sheriff's office. I forget what year, but I can remember they said, look, sit still for an hour each night, turn your car off, get out, walk around, do foot patrols, walk through a shopping center, do something. But I think it's going to be a team effort. If all the department heads got together and tried to be creative on this, we can do something to take care of at least a portion of that significant impact. Thank you.
I think it is going to be a team effort, and I'm very confident that our administrative offices will all pull together. I spoke with Mark Willis and I said, in your budget, what is the biggest hit, the unexpected hit? And it was the amount of snow that we had this past year. Also the storms that you can have and the tree damage and all of that. And after looking at the budget and seeing the contingencies that they have and the cushions that they have, I feel very confident that they will be responsible enough to absorb this. It's tough on everyone. Everything has gone up. But I feel very, very secure in the fact that our budget is looking good and it's healthy. Thank you.
So the next question is going to go to Mr. Hans. And we're going through all this budget stuff. We have another one, but there's also another one. So one thing that hasn't been talked about here, and some people have some questions, is how's your campaign financed? Is it self-donations, companies? That's the question.
So I've held one fundraiser. We've had people just call in and contribute money. So it's not self-financed. It's financed by the people and the citizens of Calvert County who want to see me stay in office. So thank you.
So I have given some money myself to the campaign, and I also have small dollar contributions that are on the latest campaign finance report. One thing that I noticed this time, and I swear it's to keep the regular guy from getting into this race, okay? The campaign finance report penalty went from $20 to $1,000. So if we hadn't gotten that review or that report in by 6:14 at midnight, or I thought it was different than midnight, it was $1,000. Well, I have $1,200 a balance in my account right now, so that would wipe that out. Now I can make that go a long way, but it's all the folks up here are coming up with creative ways to raise money or putting money in themselves. Okay, and some of the money is coming from my own pocket. Thank you.
So let's talk about special interest groups first. For somebody to be a special interest group to a candidate, in my opinion, they have to be able to gain or garner something from them. So that's first of all. I've received donations from construction workers, attorneys, builders, citizens, military, insurance companies, just to name a few. My first donation was made on 2/12 of 2021. I've been campaigning for 16 months. I started 16 months ago. I'm proud of our campaign team. We've made one promise to anyone that we took money from. We will always be transparent and we will always tell the truth. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm running on a very frayed and old shoestring budget, which is zero. I'm not taking money from any group or any persons. You know, I'm not beholden to anybody except to the people I'm going to represent. Maybe after the good Republicans of Calvert County, if they choose to elect me, you know, to go to the, or vote for me to get to the general and spread the good word, then I might decide to actually ask for some funding to actually get the campaign to it with the entire county. Thank you.
So that's a question I've been asked a couple times. So this is my third campaign. First two campaigns I took donations, very naive, a lot of great people. And please understand me when I say this, not throwing rocks at anybody. 99.9% of the people that gave me funds, they believed in me and believed in what I was saying and wanted to see me be there. But there have been times that people that give me donations, they expect something. And I'm just not wired that way. I've never been good at following things like that. Maybe that's why I'm self-employed, you know, and I would get these phone calls and demanding me to do this or to do that. And out of that frustration, I said, you know what, I'm just not going to take any funds. And a nice gentleman offered me today, he said, Mike, he says, can I contribute somewhere? And I said, thank you so much. All I really want is your vote. I said, because I don't want to be beholden to anybody except for the people here at Calvert County. Thank you.
Well, I've had two fundraisers. I had a golf tournament and I have a meet and greet. We're getting ready to send a postcard out next week. I should have done 6 fundraisers for what I'm paying for that postcard. So a lot of my friends and family have given us money, and I support all of them, and just glad they have supported me. Thank you.
I'm about 3/4 self-finance where we are right now. My wife and I are blessed in order to be able to do that. I am earning a salary as a commissioner, and I feel that that's the least I can do to give some of that back, or the majority of that back, for the year that I've been here. We have had one fundraiser, one round of letters we sent out. If anybody wants to look at any of the people who donated to me, please go to Maryland Board of Elections, look up campaign finance, put in my last name. You can do that for any of the candidates. Take a look at our campaign finance. We just put that stuff in. One other thing that I do have is a pistol raffle. And for a shameless plug, you can buy tickets online at chrisgadway.us. Thank you.
So this is my 6th campaign in a row. I've run every 2 years. What I found when I first started, I pretty much financed the majority of my campaigns. What I find that money don't buy the election. You don't need a lot of money it's the hard work, getting involved in the community, and people realizing what you're doing. I was very fortunate last time and this time to be endorsed by the Southern Maryland Realtors Association, and I think I haven't had any fundraisers. I know times are tough for people. There isn't a lot of money, so I chose not to have any fundraisers for the primary race. I've raised about $7,000, and I've spent about $7,000. I'm not going to flood your mailboxes with a bunch of mail-ins, and I'm definitely not going to flood your mailbox with any type of negative campaign whatsoever, because that does nothing for you. I want to move forward in the right direction and make a change and help the people. That doesn't help people by doing that. Thank you.
I'm so glad this question was brought up. So the way that I got the majority of my funds was literally going door to door, and one of the first things I did was I posted on my page $20 per sign. And guess what? I sent my message out: safety, salary, service, the 3 things I'm shooting for through the county, and I named a few things that I would like to do to improve the county, and folks were extremely receptive, and we raised a decent amount of money. Literally me going door to door since October. And now the first thing I did as soon as I noticed all these sheriff's individuals putting up their signs, I put one big 10 by 4 sign up myself with my nephew on Highway 4. We put that up ourselves, and then we started going and putting up other signs. All the signs that you see that are on the highway that are big, they're all put up by me and usually my family members who live in the county. And we have a few signs over here, and only recently they've become free. So please enjoy them, and I want to thank all my supporters.
I have gotten my money from everyday people in Calvert County. I did decline 2 donations because the 2 individuals were counter to what I believe this county needs. I'm a big believer in integrity matters and moving forward with integrity, but everyday people have helped me decline 2 that were counter to what I believe in. Thank you.
So when I came into this thing in March, I knew I had to get signs up immediately. I had no idea things cost as much as they do, no idea. Just for instance, a lot of people here probably don't either, but a 4x8 sign, if you put a V-board up, it's about $300 at each location. I've done 3 fundraisers, I'm doing 1 more. I have received the majority of all my funding from the citizens of this county, friends, family, and that's where my funding has come from. I am having 1 more fundraiser. Since Chris was able to go out here, I guess I could say it too. It's June 25th, next Saturday. And if you're interested, go on my site and look, and maybe I can get a couple more signs. Thank you.
Well, as I said, I'm the founder of Calvert Citizens United, and all 4 of our officers have worked for 3 long years pro bono. Our attorney's G. Macy Nelson in Baltimore, and he's handling our case in the Supreme Court of Maryland. But we've had to go through every court to get to the Supreme Court of Maryland. And the citizens, the everyday citizens that begged and pleaded, please don't build the county out the way that it is destined to go, is they've given us $115,000. There's no possible way that I could go to those people and say, can you spend a little more so I can get a sign and maybe go to his fundraiser, you know. But so I can't do that, so I'm funding it myself, which I'm fine with. I came and signed up late for the commission to run as commissioner, so I'm behind the 8 ball a little bit. Thank you.
So now we're going to go to closing statements, and we'll start off with Kelly and go in that direction.
Alrighty. It's been an honor to serve you the last 4 years. We've done many good things, from lowering your tax rate the last 2 years for your property. The county joined a suit against the opioid manufacturers and distributors. We've added career EMTs to fit the needs of the citizens so that if something happens, they're there for you. We built a new Prince Frederick Fire Department, where I'm committed to building a St. Leonard and a Solomon's Fire Department. We passed a harsh weather protection ordinance to protect our animals so that people can't leave them out in the hot and the cold. I had the honor of being the president 2 years ago when COVID hit, so we faced many challenges that year. Halloween Point Park on 231, very dangerous, afraid that family and kids would get killed coming out of there. We built a brand new entrance coming out of the backside of the park that makes it safe for everyone to enter and leave that park. We invested in a full broadband build out. We're offering Comcast internet to everybody in the county. You're welcome, Cal Stewart, because his daughter's called me for 4 years. We built a new public safety communication system, top notch. We added spouse health care coverage for all our retirees, which is huge. Parks and Recs received a CAPRA accreditation, which is amazing. We've built we've built new parks. We've added many additions, brand new playground to Dunkirk. We're building a turf field down in the southern part of the county. We did a new TDR reserve program was established. We were establishing a police accountability board. We opened our own Calvert broadcast studio. That's why we have the people here that are able to broadcast these events. We completed the first construction phase of Ward Farm, adding 3 ball fields. We approved a market adjustment for all our county employees to get caught up. Thank you.
Well, Kelly mentioned a lot of the stuff that happened over the 10 months that I've been here, so I'm not going to reiterate all of them. We have been, one of the things I've noticed in Calvert County is we have been a bit of a trendsetter for some of the other counties across the state. Due to our excellent leadership of our current board of county commissioners, some of the other counties hold back and wait for us to get finished up setting up different projects, and then they come in behind us, copy us. It's kind of flattering, but we are setting pace. That applies to like the Police Accountability Board in some places, the Kerwin Blueprint, how we set that up with our different committees. The competitive pay, as we said, that was important, that we got to vote on that and get our sheriff's deputies, our correctional deputies, our county employees across the board up to more competitive wages. Sadly, when I tried to have that discussion with the school board during one of the meetings to talk about how much of a percentage we were able to increase the county employees, I was trying to ask them about the percentages of what they add for their employees. They didn't want to talk about it. In fact, they shut the conversation down. So please, again, there's another reason why we all need to look at school board elections this year. Very, very crucially important. Look at the sheriff's election. There's 3 facets to this government in Calvert County that are crucial, and all 3 come up for election this year. So take the time, learn about all the candidates and all those. If there's any Democrats out there that want to have a say in the primaries in this county, the primaries in this county are primarily Republican primaries. I don't know, there might be one Democrat primary, I'm not sure. There are some primary change forms over there, party affiliation change forms. If you are a registered Democrat, it's just a quick form to go ahead and fill out. My name's Chris Gadway. I ask for your vote. Thank you.
Thank you for allowing us to speak to you this evening. If elected your next county commissioner, as I said earlier, I will work for all citizens of Calvert County. I would greatly appreciate your support and your vote in July. Thank you.
So the last 2 commissioners said a lot. Thank you. Saved me some time. It's been a true honor over the last 8 years to be your commissioner. I'm a kid, didn't even have a prom date. So it shocked me to win. And then to win again, I'm like, wow, really? You know? And it's been a true honor. And I mean this. I feel obligated to give back. My hometown's given me everything, from a family, a business, a way of life. I don't want to see it change. I love the rural character here. I love fishing and crabbing, being on the water. I like it quiet, you know. And I gauge my job by your quality of life. We do have a traffic problem, we know that. And we have some problems out there, we know that. But we have faced every time, whether it was building a Dominion facility that nowhere in the state had ever seen anything like that, and all the traffic came with it, and the congestion, to handle that, to COVID, to all the different things, this opiate crisis. But every time, don't panic. We've never panicked, and we tried as best as I could to keep your way of life the way you found it when you got here. And the work's not done. There's a long way to go, and I want to make sure that my children have the opportunity to live in this great county the way I did. And it's grown even too much for me, to be quite honest, but I don't want to see it grow to these other jurisdictions. I don't want to be a PG County or any of these other ones. I like Calvert. I love Calvert. I want to see it stay rural. I want to see it stay safe in the way that we enjoy it every day. I'm Mike Hart. I'm asking for your support in this election. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just an old combat vet from the first Gulf War. I did my tour, I did my work, threw a couple medals at me, and I got out. But the first code of conduct of a soldier is, I am an American. I serve in the forces which guard my country and our way of life. I'm prepared to give my life in their defense. Now, it's not that serious in this instance, but if you want to be defended and have your voices heard at the table, then I respectfully ask for your vote to push me towards the general election. And everybody can send out the message, to look at me, on video or my website, electflaherty.com, But if you want real representation, where the whole of the citizenry interest come first, or the priority, and not that of the government in and of itself, then I appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Thanks, man. So, thank you, Mr. Stewart, Mr. McQueen. Thanks for moderating this. I appreciate it, ma'am. Thank you too. I don't know your name. I apologize. So, thank you. I'm Steve Jones. I'm running for county commissioner, and I ask for your support. As I told you, I've been on the job 30 years, and I have fought for this county tooth and nail to keep it safe. I don't have special interest. I don't stand to gain anything from TDRs. I don't stand to gain anything from something happening or not happening, meaning I don't have a personal financial interest in anything that occurs in this county. My interest is one thing, you. I've spent my life dedicating to public service and to serving the people in this county. And I want to do that for as long as I can. I love this county. Sometimes we hear things about our county and it upsets me a little bit. I hear how this is horrible or this is bad. This is one of the prettiest, most beautiful, and some of the finest people on earth are right here in Calvert County. God bless and thank you.
So I don't have any special interest either. In fact, all of my money is invested in debt, so I got that going for me. Listen, Commissioner Hart said that they run the county like a business. Well, this is the easiest business in the world because they take risks with your money, right? And if something doesn't work out, they just get more money, your money. So it's really not like a business. And at worst case, they do it at the barrel of a gun or at your risk of being sued or property taken or fined. I faced a sign. I started a home business for my wife, a hair salon, and I faced a fine of $102,500. Maybe that's where they make their money. I don't know. Got out of that. I fought the county on the 4th, 5th, and 14th Amendment to the Constitution. Sometimes we forget that, running it as a business, right? Our first responsibility is to make sure that we are a lawful entity, right? Our first responsibility as a commissioner is to make sure not that we run the county as a business, but that we run the county that takes the citizens' interest into consideration. I pivoted on the Bearcat. At first I poo-pooed it, and I talked to Steve Jones and Damian Villanova and some other folks that have seen combat and been shot at, and I said, you know what, that makes sense. That makes sense. 357,000. Now the question I would say is, if the sheriff's office had an extra 357,000, I want to look at that budget, right? Because that's what the accountant in me says. So you really have to focus on what the role is of a county commissioner. And I think first and foremost, it's money. I think you also have to have vision. I raised the issue at the Firemen's Association. I said, listen, I just saw an article, I think it was Marty Madden wrote it. He said that they're turning the Holiday Inn down in Solomon into a retirement home. One second. They're turning it into that. So let's plan for some ambulance service to that additional retirement home. Thank you. Paul Harrison, paulforcalvert.info. And if you want to make a small dollar donation, I'm all for it. All right, thank you. Shameless, man.
So I've spent the last 66 years and 11 months in Calvert County. I'm going to die in Calvert County. I'm proud to say that. I may die someplace else, but I'm going to end up here. And I go to work every day. Every decision I make is based on keeping Calvert County the wonderful place that it is. Those of you that haven't moved here within the last 30 years have no idea what a wonderful place this was. It's not quite as good as it used to be, in my opinion, but it's still a very good place. I've been fortunate to travel around this whole world. There's no place I would rather live than Calvert County. So I go to work every day as a county commissioner, working to keep Calvert County. I wish we could preserve every square inch that's left, because I want my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren to want to stay here. So I'm asking for your vote, Buddy Hance, at-large commissioner, Early voting starts July the 7th to the 15th in 3 locations this year. 3 locations. You don't have to go to Prince Frederick. And then on July the 19th. Appreciate your vote.
I just want to share a little story. I was down at the Memorial Day ceremony down in Chesapeake Beach, and they had this gentleman come, and he's a major in the Air Force, and he's been stationed up in the Capitol building, dear God, but the poor dear man. But at any rate, he was from North Carolina. His name is Major Temple, and he and his wife had to come up here with their 2 little guys. And he was talking about reverence and remembrance. But he said that he left North Carolina and he went into D.C., went over to Northern Virginia. He went all over the Washington metropolitan area, Montgomery County. He told his wife, you know, this is going to take me X amount of time to get home and this and this. Somebody said to him, you don't want to be in those places. You want to go down south to Calvert County, Maryland. He goes, where's that? He said, it's down the road. I'll give you a map. He and his wife traveled down, and they're driving and driving and driving, and he said, Lord have mercy, it's going to take me forever to get home and get to work. And he said he came to the county line where it said, welcome to Calvert County. He looked at his wife, he knew he lost. He said there was no way, she was driving, there was no way she was going to go any other place. He said, I felt like I had left 1,000 miles ago, Washington, D.C. I felt as if I was home. We moved here, a lot of us moved here on the banks of the Waterman and our farmers because we like the quality of life. We stay here because we love it. We love it for our children and for the future, our children's children. So that is what I believe is very, very important. I believe that we need to come together and be a team, Democrat, Republican, not even voting, to protect and preserve our county. Thank you.
All right, I want to thank everyone for being here tonight, and thank you guys for hosting this tonight, and Company 6 for allowing us to use this facility. I want to touch on a couple things. Planned growth. We need to think about entry-level housing. That's going to be a huge challenge as everything seems to be going up. Public safety. We need to consider our paid paramedic. It's going to have to increase. We're going to have more paramedics out there, particularly with, as Paul Harrison said, the new facility coming to Solomons. Education, I've said again, we have to forge that relationship with the Board of Education. We have to do everything we can to protect our kids, and that includes putting SROs in our schools. We'll wrap that up. Our environment, Patuxent River and Chesapeake Bay, we only get one of each, folks, and without them, we're lost. They're a huge part of the tourism here in Calvert County, and which also brings dollars to us as well. I truly care about Calvert County. I promise I'll be fiscally responsible. I promise I'll listen to the citizens of Calvert County. And you have until June 28th if you do want to change your party affiliation. You can do it online, or you can get the form that's over there on that table. It's not very hard to do. I've had several friends who were registered differently, and they went out and did it, and they said there's nothing to it. So it's something to think about. I'm not saying everybody has to do it. It's not for everybody, but if you can, I'd like to have your vote July 19th. Thank you.
High-density growth and too much traffic is spoiling our rural community. We need a pause on development. Evaluate moving forward, take into consideration what you want for your county, and then proceed strategically. We also need transparency in our school systems. Parents need to have a voice in their children's education. I do have a special interest, I must admit, and my special interest is you. I have sat in meetings month after month, couple of years, workshops, as we were discussing the build-out. And I know your voices weren't always heard. Many times your voices weren't heard. I do have you as my special interest. I am you. I will work for you. And I'd appreciate your vote on July 19th. Catherine Grasso, thank you much. Bye-bye.
First of all, I want to thank everybody for coming out here. The folks that are out here, you're the folks that are going to make the difference at the polls, especially also those of you at home who are viewing. Those of you who are doing it right now, you're the front line. You guys are going to make the difference out there. Shoot. Well, I haven't lived in Calvert forever. Like I said, I'm a military brat. I grew up kind of everywhere, wherever my dad brought me. And I'm not a rich individual either, at least not in finance. I'm definitely rich in family. The majority of my family, my in-laws at least, live here in Calvert. Ever since we moved here a few years ago, we've just been bringing everybody down here because we love the community. I want to definitely help out with the education. I'm definitely a fan of the SRO. As far as growth goes, we do need to slow down the development, and if it comes to developers, we need to oversee everything is safe before anything is built. Period. Point blank. And as far as the environment goes, I grew up on the Susquehanna. Well, it's part of at least where I grew up, because we would go back and visit my grandfather in Pennsylvania, and I'm a big advocate for making sure that everything is at least environmentally friendly. But yes, I want to thank all of you for coming here, and please vote Evan Trzanski. And since I do have a little extra time, I want to mention that my last, my one and only, in my last event that I had, I actually matched half the funds and donated it to Project Echo, because when I was going home to home, I asked the voters, well, I plan on donating some of this money, matching it, and donating it. Who should I donate it to? And folks kept bringing up Project Echo. And I thought that would be a great thing to do, so I went ahead and did it. We're gonna have one more event that I'm gonna plan on hosting. I'm hoping to do a car show, fingers crossed. That's what I'm hoping to do. And if folks wanna come out, that'll be great. Anything that's sold, like I said, I'm gonna match, and I'm gonna hopefully give to another nonprofit. Thank you so much for your time.
Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for our candidates. And candidates, a round of applause for the folks who are supporting you. You've made a decision for all of us very difficult. I think damn near all 5 of you, whoever it is, would run this county, and I know that we are impressed with the quality of your presentation, the quality of your thinking, and the quality of your speech. Thank you very, very much, and I'd like to adjourn the session, and thanks for coming, guys.
Thank you, Cal. Thanks, Cal.
Thank you, Cal.